The world is holding its breath tonight, as tensions reach a boiling point in a region already fraught with instability. The eyes of the globe are fixed on the Middle East, where a delicate balance of power teeters on the brink of collapse. The Middle East is a powder keg, a volatile mix of political rivalries, historical grievances, and competing interests. Decades of conflict and mistrust have created a tinderbox, where even the smallest spark could ignite a devastating conflagration. And the fuse is burning short. The threat of escalation looms large, casting a shadow over the entire region and beyond. Military forces are on high alert, and diplomatic efforts are struggling to keep pace with the rapidly deteriorating situation. In just 72 hours, a series of events has dramatically altered the landscape, pushing long-simmering tensions to the forefront. The clock is ticking, and the world watches with bated breath as the crisis unfolds. Tensions have soared, diplomatic channels are strained, and military posturing has intensified, raising fears of an imminent confrontation. The movement of troops and equipment signals a readiness for potential conflict. Iran, a nation with its own regional ambitions and a history of defiance. Israel, a staunch U.S. ally with deep security concerns and a determination to defend its borders. And the United States, a global superpower with strategic interests in the region and a commitment to maintaining stability, are locked in a dangerous standoff. Each nation has its own red lines, and the potential for miscalculation is dangerously high. The slightest misjudgment could trigger a chain reaction with devastating consequences. Every move is under global scrutiny. Satellites in space and intelligence agencies on the ground are working around the clock to monitor the situation, searching for any sign of impending aggression. The stakes? Nothing less than regional, and possibly global, war. The potential for widespread conflict looms large, threatening to engulf the Middle East and draw in other major powers. One misstep could unleash chaos. A single act of aggression, a misinterpreted signal, or a failure of diplomacy could be all it takes to plunge the region into a full-blown war. This is a story of power, the relentless pursuit of influence and control in a region of vital strategic importance. Pride, the unwavering belief in one's own nation and its rightful place in the world. And peril, the ever-present danger of miscalculation, escalation, and ultimately, war. Unfolding in real time. The news is breaking minute by minute, and the situation on the ground is constantly evolving. From Tehran, the capital of Iran, where leaders are weighing their options and preparing for any eventuality, to Tel Aviv, the bustling heart of Israel, where citizens are on edge and the military is on high alert. Washington, where policymakers are scrambling to find a diplomatic solution and prevent a wider conflict. To Beirut, a city scarred by decades of conflict, now bracing for the potential fallout of a regional war. The tension is palpable. The air is thick with uncertainty, and the sense of impending crisis hangs heavy over the region. Military forces are on high alert, poised to respond to any threat. Soldiers stand ready, ships patrol the seas, and aircraft fill the skies. Satellites track every move, monitoring troop deployments, missile launches, and any other activity that could signal an imminent attack. And intelligence agencies scramble for answers, piecing together fragments of information to understand the intentions of each player and anticipate their next move. The situation is changing by the hour, with new developments emerging constantly. The news cycle is relentless, and the world is glued to their screens, waiting for the next update. Recent events have pushed all sides into a corner, leaving little room for maneuver and increasing the risk of miscalculation. The language is tough, the warnings direct. Diplomacy has taken a back seat to threats and ultimatums. This is no longer just talk. The rhetoric has escalated to a dangerous level, and the threat of military action is very real. The threat of real conflict, of open warfare between nations, is more present than it has been in years. The region is teetering on the edge of a precipice, and the consequences of a fall could be catastrophic. For years, a shadow war simmered, a clandestine struggle for power and influence, hidden from public view. Spies operating in the shadows, gathering intelligence and carrying out covert missions, secret ops, conducted by elite forces designed to disrupt and destabilize the enemy, cyber attacks. A constant barrage of digital assaults aimed at crippling infrastructure and stealing sensitive information. Now that war is out in the open. The gloves are off, and the conflict has spilled into the public domain. The world is witnessing an escalating crisis, a dangerous game of brinkmanship that could have devastating consequences. Is this the start of a full-scale war? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, as the world waits with bated breath. The answer hangs in the balance, dependent on the decisions made by a handful of individuals in the coming hours and days. The decisions made now could shape the future, not just of the region, but of the entire global order, of the Middle East, and the world. The stakes are incredibly high and the potential consequences are almost unimaginable. The situation demands our full attention. We must follow these events closely, understand the complexities of the region, and hope for a peaceful resolution. The crisis erupted with a sudden, calculated, and deadly attack. It was an event that sent shockwaves throughout the region and beyond, instantly raising concerns about a wider conflict. Israeli warplanes, powerful and technologically advanced, pierced the skies and struck targets deep inside Syria. The operation was swift and precise, leaving little room for error. These targets were sites linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard, a powerful and influential organization within Iran, with significant military and economic power. These were advanced weapons depots, heavily fortified and strategically located, designed to store a vast array of military equipment. The weapons were allegedly destined for Iran's allies like Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese political party and militant group, further solidifying their influence in the region. Israel's message, "We're watching, and we will act." This was a clear declaration of intent, a warning to any who might threaten Israel's security. The strikes were complex, meticulously planned and executed with precision. The operation involving waves of aircraft, advanced technology, and electronic warfare, showcasing Israel's military capabilities. Satellite images, analyzed by experts, of the destruction, leaving no doubt about the effectiveness of the strikes. Iran and its allies were caught off guard, unprepared for the scale and intensity of the attack. This was a major military action, not a minor skirmish, signaling a significant escalation in the ongoing tensions. The region's temperature spiked instantly, with fears of further conflict spreading rapidly. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in the Red Sea, another crisis was brewing. U.S. Navy ships patrolling vital shipping lanes faced off with Iranian fast boats, leading to tense encounters and heightened alert levels. Houthi rebels in Yemen, backed by Iran, launched drones at shipping lanes, threatening international commerce. Most were intercepted by advanced missile defense systems, but the threat to global trade was clear and present. The sea and sky became battlegrounds, with naval vessels and military aircraft engaged in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. These events are not isolated incidents, but part of a dangerous pattern of escalation, each action provoking a reaction. Each side feels compelled to respond, driven by a complex mix of strategic interests, national pride, and historical grievances. This is fueling a cycle of tit-for-tat attacks that's hard to stop, with each act of aggression leading to another, and the potential for a full-blown conflict growing ever closer. Israeli strikes answered Iranian aggression, a response to perceived threats and provocations. Iran's proxies answered back, launching rockets and missiles, further escalating the conflict. The risk of miscalculation grows with every move, as tensions rise and communication channels break down. The flashpoint has been ignited, and the flames of conflict are spreading rapidly across the region. The world watches with bated breath, hoping it doesn't spread beyond its current borders, engulfing the entire region in war. The stakes have never been higher, with the potential for a global crisis looming large. The United States, after careful deliberation and assessment of the escalating situation, responded swiftly and decisively. The gravity of the events unfolding demanded a clear and unequivocal message. The Pentagon, acting on presidential directives, initiated a strategic deployment, moving more military assets to the region. This included naval power, air capabilities, and ground forces, all designed to enhance the U.S. posture and reassure allies. As a central component of this deployment, an aircraft carrier strike group, a potent symbol of American naval might, moved closer to the Middle East. This carrier group, with its complement of aircraft, warships, and support vessels, significantly increased the U.S. ability to project power in the region. Reinforcing air power in the region, F-22 fighter jets, renowned for their advanced capabilities and air superiority, were rapidly sent to Gulf bases. These aircraft provided a significant boost to the defensive and offensive capabilities of U.S. forces. The movement of these assets was a clear show of force intended to signal the U.S. commitment to regional stability and its willingness to protect its interests and those of its allies. The message was unambiguous. America will defend its interests and allies and will not tolerate actions that threaten regional security or international norms. In parallel with the military deployments, Official statements from Washington condemned Iran's destabilizing actions, highlighting the detrimental impact of these activities on regional peace and security. The president, in a televised address, reaffirmed unwavering support for Israel, a key ally in the region, emphasizing the enduring bond between the two nations. The Secretary of Defense, speaking from the Pentagon, issued a firm warning. The U.S. seeks no conflict, preferring a diplomatic resolution, but will act decisively, if necessary, to protect its interests and deter further aggression. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle mostly backed the strong stance, recognizing the need to project strength and resolve in the face of escalating tensions. However, though some urged caution, emphasizing the importance of diplomatic engagement and avoiding any actions that could inadvertently escalate the conflict. The American public is divided, reflecting a range of perspectives on the appropriate course of action. Many are worried about troops deployed to the region and the potential for increased casualties. The public is also wary of new wars, haunted by the experiences of past conflicts and the long-term consequences they entailed. In response to the heightened tensions, U.S. bases across the region are on high alert, with increased security measures and vigilance. Force protection is up. Security protocols have been intensified to safeguard personnel and assets. As the situation unfolds, soldiers and sailors are on edge, aware of the potential dangers and the importance of maintaining readiness. The deployment is primarily meant to deter Iran from further escalatory actions, sending a clear signal that aggression will not be tolerated. However, the increased military presence also raises the risk of miscalculation, where unintended actions could trigger a wider conflict. With so many forces in close quarters, operating in a complex and volatile environment, the chance of accidental conflict is dangerously high, requiring careful coordination and communication to prevent unintended escalation. The world is watching America's next move with bated breath, recognizing the potential for far-reaching consequences. Every decision now carries enormous consequences, not only for the region but for global stability and international relations. The region teeters on the edge of a precipice with the potential for either de-escalation or a descent into wider conflict. The U.S. must balance strength with restraint, demonstrating resolve while also pursuing diplomatic solutions to de-escalate tensions. The stakes are global, with the potential for the crisis to impact energy markets, trade routes, and international security. The next move could change everything, shaping the future of the Middle East and the global order for years to come. Iran's response was swift and defiant. Top officials condemned the Israeli attack as terrorism and vowed revenge. The IRGC warned, Iran will choose the time and place to strike back. The rhetoric was fiery, aimed at domestic and international audiences. Iran warned the U.S., stay out or your forces become targets. Thousands of U.S. troops are within range of Iranian missiles. Iran's message is clear. Further involvement will be costly. On the ground, Iran placed its missile forces on high alert. Satellite images show increased activity at missile bases. Military drills signal readiness for conflict. Iran is also flexing its cyber capabilities. U.S. officials report increased Iranian cyber probing of critical infrastructure. A major cyber attack could be Iran's way to retaliate without open war. Asymmetric warfare is on the table. The threat is both physical and digital. Iran is signaling it has many ways to respond. The world is left guessing which path it will choose. The stakes are rising with every hour. The region holds its breath. Iran's reach extends through powerful proxies. Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen are on high alert. These groups give Iran leverage without direct confrontation. Hezbollah, with its vast arsenal, threatens Israel's northern border. Its leader warns any attack on Iran will trigger a regional response. The Houthis, armed with Iranian drones and missiles, threaten shipping in the Red Sea. Both groups have declared readiness to act. Iran's proxy network creates plausible deniability and immense volatility. A single attack by a proxy could ignite the region. The world watches their every move. The crisis is shaking the world economy. Oil prices surged as fears grew over the Strait of Hormuz. Stock markets tumbled, investors fled to safe havens. Airlines rerouted flights, and shipping companies considered longer routes. Billions are at stake as global trade is disrupted. World leaders called for calm and restraint. The UN urged all parties to avoid escalation. European leaders scrambled to mediate. China and Russia blamed U.S. policy for rising tensions. On social media, real news and misinformation spread rapidly, fueling anxiety. The world is watching and worried. The conflict is raging in cyberspace. Iran and its adversaries are waging a digital war, hacking, spying, spreading propaganda. US and Israeli agencies report a surge in Iranian cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. The goal: create chaos, show strength, and inflict pain without missiles. Iran is also a target, with US and Israeli cyber units probing its networks. The digital battlefield is invisible but dangerous. Disinformation floods social media, making truth hard to find. Fake accounts amplify propaganda, eroding trust and fueling fear. The cyber war adds a new layer of risk to an already volatile crisis. In this conflict, information is as powerful as any weapon. What happens next? Experts warn the risk of escalation is dangerously high. Iran may retaliate through proxies, Hezbollah or the Houthis, triggering wider conflict. A major attack could force Israel and the US to respond, spiraling into war. US troops in the region are vulnerable. Any attack could provoke massive retaliation. The worst-case scenario: direct war between Iran, Israel and the US, with catastrophic consequences. Airstrikes, naval battles and ground combat could devastate the region. The human and economic costs would be immense. Everyone hopes to avoid this, but the danger is real. America faces a crossroads. Decades of involvement in the Middle East are being tested. One path: increase US presence to deter Iran and support allies. This means more troops, more risk of direct conflict. The other path: step back, reduce the military footprint and focus on diplomacy. Withdrawal could create a power vacuum and more chaos. Both options carry huge risks and consequences. The choice isn't just for politicians, it affects every American. The next decisions will shape US security and global stability. Should America double down or pull back? There are no easy answers. The world waits for America's move. What should America do?